We are live. We are live. So in July of 2025, they had 58,000 contracts canceled. Let me repeat that. In July of 2025, buyers slash sellers or whoever canceled 58,000 real estate contracts. So that means 58,000 people canceled their contract to purchase a home. And that is a record number. So, guys, we're going to dive into the cancellation of the contracts. We're going to dive into why they could potentially be canceling the contracts. So let me kind of break it down. When you're under contract, that means buyer and seller have agreed upon a price on said property. And when you're under contract, you have given typically an earnest money deposit, buyer sold, seller sold. And we don't know, it could be in different stages of the process. It could be, hey, the house did not pass the inspections the way we needed to. Hey, the house didn't get the inspection. The buyer was okay as long as the seller made the corrections. The seller may have said, hey, kick rocks. I don't want to make these corrections. It's nothing wrong with my house. I've lived in it for X amount of years and I never had that problem. Or it could be the house didn't appraise, underwriting, it may not have went through. The buyer, the lender may have not approved the buyer accurately up front, or during the underwriting process, the buyer may have not been able to come up with the things that the lender needed. A whole bunch of things could have possibly happened for contracts to cancel, but 58,000 contracts canceled. That's a lot. I believe that's 1 in 7 contracts canceled. That is a huge amount. Good evening, Christine Lambert. Wonderful Wednesday to you too. Again, guys, if you're just joining, in July of 2025, 58,000 contracts canceled. I personally, in July, had 1 contract canceled, which was probably a fallout from June. I don't, the numbers for August, of course, have not come out yet. They'll come out in September. And if I'm not mistaken, in June of 2025, 56,000 contracts canceled. So like there are people who are in the market purchasing, and for whatever reason, the deal isn't coming together. It's not always the lender. It's not always the buyer. It's not always the seller. It just could be a number of things. Home inspection didn't go well. The seller may not have had the funds to change things in the house. Maybe that's why they're selling. The house didn't appraise. Maybe, the seller wanted 350. It appraised at 325 and they weren't willing to go down and budge. So there's a plethora of things that could have caused for those contracts to fall through. And if you're in the deal, you'll know. It could be bad pre-approvals. It could be buyers not producing documents. It could be real estate agents not following, contingency rules or things. Like, it could be a plethora of things. And of course, I'm not blaming anybody, but there's so many different ways a contract could fall out. The one that I had, the buyers weren't able to produce additional funds that they needed because they had a specific situation occur where they had to utilize funds. A big one, I had 2 contracts fall out in August myself. Both of those contracts fell out because of student loan debt. So both buyers had student loan debts report on their credit report as late while they were under contract, because we do a credit refresh. And because of that, the buyers could not move forward because they had recent lates. And when student loans report late, student loans don't report 30 days late. They report 90 days late because they don't report until you're 90 days late. And let's take an example. If you have five separate student loans broken out, Department of Education, Department of Education, Department of Education, and you are late on one, you're late 90 days late on that one student loan, it reports 5 times. So it tanks your credit. So if you're in a position where you have student loan debt, one thing that I've seen, because I can speak for my 2 deals that fell out of contract in August, call your student loan servicer. Can you control the house not appraising? Not necessarily. Most good real estate agents do a great job up front, taking the data that they get in the MLS and putting the house on the market for a specific price. Sometimes, even though they've gotten the best data they can get, the sellers feel like, hey, my house is worth $400,000. It's not worth $350,000. Or when you're under contract and the listing agent, lists the house because the seller said they want a specific amount, let's say 400,000, and the buyer's agent goes in and does, a good buyer's agent will look at comps as well to see if this house will actually appraise or come close. Now, they're not appraisers. They don't go as in depth as appraisers, but they do typically have a knowledge of the market using the data that they have to see if the house will appraise for what contract price is or better. Again, while they're both doing their job, an appraiser is a third party who comes in and uses their data more specific than the real estate professional. So that could affect, contracts going out. But 58,000 contracts fell through. That is a whole city. It's not a metropolitan area, but it's a city that went from selling homes to not selling homes. Also, what do you guys think could have been some reasons? Better question. If you're watching it now, and let's put yourself in a situation, if you were under contract, what would be some things that would make you walk away from being under contract for the house that you picked? If you're watching the replay, chime in the chat. What would make you back out of a contract after you've been under contract? What would turn you off? I love to hear some feedback or see what people say they would do. Trying to find the article that I had pulled up. Let me see. While I'm doing that, if you guys have any questions pertaining to this topic or purchasing a home or home ownership, definitely tap in. If you're watching it now, put it in the chat section. If you're watching the replay, put it in the comment section. I do my best to answer your questions, but I'm here to definitely help you. I had the article up. I'm not sure why. July. So one of the states that had the highest amount of homes that fell out of contract was Florida. Is anybody in here in Florida? I've got a deal going on in Florida right now that just started. I got a deal that just started, so hopefully, knock on wood, that everything goes good. So it says, cities like so the 2 states were Texas and Florida, And it says cities like San Antonio saw a very high percentage of deals fall through. So San Antonio, Texas. And in Florida, it says Florida also experienced a high number of canceled agreements in cities like Fort Lauderdale and Jacksonville. So those places, San Antonio, Texas, and Fort Lauderdale and Jacksonville, Florida, saw the largest amount, the highest percentage of deals that fell through and canceled agreements. So that is a lot, guys. Let me see. We got some comments. Yep, brown sugar. That is a lot. It is a lot. Hello to you too. Will you get your money back if the contract does not go through? That is a great question. It's all going to depend on why the contract fell through. If the contract fell through because the buyer just said, hey, I don't want to buy anymore, I want to walk away, then the likelihood of them getting it back is going to be slim to none if there's not a valid reason. If the home inspection did not go through like it should, or they couldn't come to an agreement and it was within what we call a due diligence period, then the likelihood of the buyer getting their money back is favorable. If something happened in the deal during a period called the financing contingency period, which means, hey, we've passed the due diligence, we're going to move forward the house, and the financing contingency is where you've done your full application, the file has been submitted to processing and underwriting, and the underwriter comes back with something called a conditional approval, or in some states, they call it a commitment letter. So that just means, hey, we've verified income, we verified credit, we verified assets. We're going to continue underwriting this file, but we do commit to lending to this borrower on this house. If that happened and the buyer decided to walk away, then the buyer probably won't be able to get their money back, simply because without a denial, you won't get your money back. Now, if you're in the financing contingency window, which is a time frame that is there to protect the buyer, and it has to be paid very, very close attention to, then the buyer has the ability to get back their money if they can't get financing from the lender, because the lender can produce a denial letter. So it's just all going to depend. If it falls through because of appraisal, in most states, you're covered under an appraisal contingency. If not, then that's where the realtors negotiate, hey, this is why the person is unable to get financing, and you send them an addendum to the contract saying, hey, or termination agreement, hey, the buyer would like to have their $1,500 returned to them. Hopefully that answered your question, Christine. But it all depends. Who cancels the contract? The lender, the realtor, the buyer? Never the lender. The lender doesn't cancel the contract. The lender only lets the buyer and the buyer's agent know, hey, Mr. and Mrs. such and such are not able to qualify for this loan. I would terminate. We can't terminate it. It still is a deal between the buyer and the seller, right? The realtor can advise the buyer to terminate it, or the realtor can advise the seller to terminate it because we, for some reason, can't come to an agreement, whether it's home inspections, appraisals, like I said before. So who terminates it all depends, but it's never the lender. We always just give advice on, hey, this buyer does not qualify, and I advise them to terminate. I'm in Pennsylvania, looking in Delaware. Great. I'm originally from Delaware. Spent most of my adult life in Delaware to this point. So I'm very familiar with Delaware. Familiar with Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, Chester. What's the other place? Allentown. I've been to Easton. I've been to King of Prussia. I was amazed at King of Prussia Mall when I used to live there. It was an amazing mall, huge mall. Is it because of storms or hurricanes? So I know Florida is, there's a mass exodus in Florida. People looking to leave or sell their homes because of insurance and taxes. And yeah, some because of the storms, they just want to kind of get out. Um, Texas, not really sure, but I do know in Texas, taxes are very high. Homeowners insurance is very high. And it could be a number of things. We aren't given that data. But it is kind of like the things that I name. It could be a plethora of things. It could be for sure the appraisal, inspections, buyers getting cold feet, no longer qualifying. So like I had a deal canceled because the buyer no longer qualified for a specific program and they didn't have the funds to continue with the process. So those things occur. So we don't really know. We just know that that's a huge amount. So over the course of the last 2 months, 114,000 contracts that fell through. That's a lot. That is a lot. Is a broker more flexible than a bank lender? Great question. Yes and no. So I was on the broker side for about 12 months, 11 months, 12 months. And what I experienced from the broker side is less control of underwriting a deal and getting answers. Now I closed transactions. Some transactions went fine, but there was periods of time where if I was at a direct lender like I am now, I could have gotten an answer faster. So is a broker more flexible? It all depends. You're only as good, and your deal is only as good as the loan officer that you work with, and the loan officer is only as good as him and his team are. So I'm not saying one's better than the other, but I am saying that I went back to retail where we did in-house processing and underwriting in deals that would have probably got stretched out because it's hard to get an answer sometimes from a broker's management. I was able to go in-house because I can talk to my underwriters. I can talk to the head of the underwriter. I did a video with the head of the underwriter for my division on my channel. So, Megan let you know, hey, I can come talk to her. So just that's my opinion. Banks have some great programs from time to time, but they're very stringent. It has to fit inside of that box. And if it doesn't fit in that box, they don't maneuver because they're a bank. They're very conservative. Credit unions conservative as well. There are some great products. Both of those offer, however, a mortgage lender, that's all we do is mortgages. So we're trying to mortgage. If that's, if that's the saying, we're trying to mortgage, you know what I mean? So that's what we do. We're not taking in deposits. We're doing mortgages for people and creating solutions for people to become homeowners or investors. Yes, King of Prussia Mall is massive and they've added more to the mall. Wow. I haven't been there in years. Have not been to King of Prussia in years. Can you find out how much your homeowner's insurance will be before buying the house? Yes, you can. But you have to have a specific house, right? So one thing that you can do is, let's say you're interested in a property and you want to put an offer in on it, which I do frequently now because of homeowners insurance prices. I take that address, I reach out to an insurance company, and I say, hey, here's the information on Mr. and Mrs. Such and such. This is the house they're interested in. Could you provide me with an insurance quote? That insurance quote will be different, right? So if you like one house and it's $250 and it's on Main Street, but you decide, hey, we can't get this house on Main Street. However, we want to get this house on First Street and it's $250 as well. The homeowner's insurance is going to be different because it's two different properties, two different locales, and they just rate differently. What will be the same as you as the buyer. the borrower. And what we will know is if you rate high on insurance, meaning there are some people who are high risk with insurance, whether it's their credit score, whether it's they had renter's insurance and they had claims, whether it is they owned a home before and they filed claims. There's always something that makes you rate higher or lower, right? And those three things I just talked about, credit score, your credit score, whether you had claims on a rental policy or homeowner's policy. And let me be clear, you don't necessarily have to pay out on those claims either to rank higher. So you can find out and give you an idea and just have a conversation with the insurance agent and ask them, hey, why is this quote this quote? The other thing is with insurance, while you may have had your vehicle with a specific insurance company over a period of time, that does not necessarily mean they're going to provide the best quote, because sometimes companies have better homeowners insurance than car insurance. Sometimes companies have better car insurance than homeowners insurance. So I would potentially shop around. I know we love people typically stick with one company because they have some love for who they work with, but to get the best overall price, I would definitely check, because all companies nowadays can do bundles with home and auto. So you can definitely check around, whether it's your homeowners insurance company. And as a service to my clients, I check around for quotes on homeowners insurance. Are there still first-time home buyers programs that will help with credit repair and down payment assistance? Yes and no. I say yes and no. There are some, they're separate. There are programs, organizations that will help with the credit repair, credit restoration. In Delaware, you've got In-Call, you've got Interfaith, In-Call, First State Community Actions, Milford Housing. Those type of companies help. But then down payment assistance is separate from them. In Georgia, you've got Morningside, and then some other companies. So there are places that are nonprofits that help you with credit counseling. You got Operation Hope, which is in multiple states. So there are organizations that help with credit, fixing your credit over time. But them and down payment assistance aren't the same thing. No, down payment assistance just provides money. They don't help with credit. They don't do anything. Very few underwrite your loan. So hopefully that answered your question. Glad I finally made a live stream. I need to reach out to you and get a plan together so I can get my family to a home. Facts, Mike. Reach out to me. My contact information will be in the description, and I'm about to put it in the comment section. What do you think of rent to own while I'm repairing my credit? Sadly, I'm a victim of identity theft. So I'm not really a big fan of rent to own programs. The reason why I'm not a fan of it is sometimes it's not less expensive than purchasing a home, because they're going to require you to put down a down payment. You're going to potentially have to pay some sort of closing costs, and your payment may be the same as if you were purchasing the home. Those things, good and bad, right? My biggest gripe is with the buyer, the renter / buyer. I'm going to tell you what it is. Once you're in that, typically what I've seen over the course of my career is once that person is in that home, in their mind, this is my home. I own it. And the game plan that was given to you to go from renter to homeowner has been thrown out the window. And by the time you look up, all of a sudden, your lease is up and your time to own is now, and you no longer qualify. You brought a new car once you got into the house. Your DTI is higher. You didn't pay down your credit cards. You didn't work on the credit items that you need. So by putting yourself in a rent-to-own situation doesn't necessarily make it better, because I feel like once a person gets into a home that they're renting and they think they're owning it, in their mind they own it, and they get complacent and they don't do what they're supposed to do. And that's my TED Talk for tonight. Sorry to hear that you were part of identity theft. I hope you make it out of it safely in terms of, unscathed or not having to do bankruptcy or anything like that. You're welcome, Brown Sugar. What's going on, Jermon? I think I pronounced it right. Good night. Good evening to you as well. I've been looking at Patterson, Schwartz, and other realtors' rental properties. Got you. So I've got a story about that. I have a client who went to a rental office and they were not approved for a rental property. And they had called me while they were waiting for their answer, and they stopped reaching out to me. And then I reached out to ask them what happened. They text me back and said, hey, I was turned down for a rental, so I'm probably going to be turned down for a mortgage. I talked to them. I said, hey, let's see what the issue is. And see how we can get you from that rental mindset to home ownership. I was able to get her approved. Great credit, good income, minimal amount of debt, had some funds to put into the deal. I don't know why they were turned down for a rental. So getting to a rental is not even the easy way out. There's people with decent jobs. In most areas, they want you to make at least 3 times the amount of the rent. So if rent is $1,500 a month, that means you need to make $4,500 a month gross. I believe they look at gross. I don't know. When I do rentals as a landlord myself, because I know the system that 3 times the amount of rent and having a 680 credit score is crazy to me. I look at the total picture. I look at what kind of debt does the person have, how much money do they make, why are they not currently renting, and then I just kind of look at it from a different lens. I had a person apply for one of my rentals, my own personal rentals, and they were able to qualify for a house. They went into a lease, and we're circling back in a few days because their lease is about to be up. They signed a 6-month lease, and I'm going to get them into a home. So, getting into a rental is not an easy way out, and I would steer clear of lease purchases. I agree. Most rent-to-own programs purposely set folks up for failure. I can't say purposely set them up for failure, but it is a setup for failure because it's not that cheaper. It is not that much less to, in some cases. Been looking at, okay. So guys, hey, I want to reset the room. I talked about in July of 2025, 58,000 sales contracts for real estate to be purchased was canceled. 58,000 sales contracts were canceled in July of 2025. Significant number. That means 1 in 7 families that were under contract canceled. And the 2 highest states were Florida and Texas. In Florida, Fort Lauderdale and Jacksonville. In Texas, the San Antonio area. You know, in June of 2025, there was 56,000. So over the course of, like I said before, over the course of the last 2 months, not including August, there have been 114,000 sales contracts that terminated for whatever reason. Again, if you're watching the replay, drop in the comment section what you think, or what would have you walk away from a contract. If you're currently watching, and even though you don't want to say anything, give me some feedback. What would make you walk away from a contract? Yep. 58,000 were canceled. Not being canceled, they were canceled. They were done in July. The numbers for August have not come up yet. However, when they do come up, I will post it in maybe a post or maybe do another live on it. Christine, do I have any rentals in Delaware? Yes, I do. I don't have any that are available. And my rentals are in the lower part of Delaware, down in Sussex County. I would assume if you're near Pennsylvania, you're probably in the Wilmington, Newcastle County area that you're looking at. Is there any requirement for my time at an employer? Let me break it down this way. We are looking for a 24-month work history. If you worked at one job for 18 months and you're on your new job for 6 months and you have not had any gaps longer than 6 months in that time frame, then you're good. But you don't, big misconception, you do not have to be on your current job for 2 years. That's a huge misconception. And I have actually saved deals because of that. If you are a college student, you graduated from college, or you're graduating in December, you graduating this coming May, you do not have to have a 2-year work history in order to purchase a home. All you need is, of course, your diploma or degree, as well as a offer letter, and an offer letter on how much you're going to make on your job. So no, you don't have to have a specific period of time on a specific job. There's other little nuances, Christine. You may have been out sick or something, but no, you don't have to have a specific period of time on one specific job. And it also depends on your financing. I'm starting a new job at my previous employer, and my previous employer for 2 years. Yeah, so you should be fine. You should definitely be fine. Hi. Hey guys, we are. I thought of something today, and I'm going to change my lives a little bit. It's going to have a different name. Typically, when I put out the live, it says "Ask the Lender." I'm going to name it Homeownership Help Desk. So my goal is to come in, and I'll still have a topic, but it's going to be my help desk, meaning I'm here to help you go from a renter mentality to a homeowner, or from being stuck in a specific home and moving to your new home. So it's going to be the homeowners help desk. Homebuyers help desk. Homebuyers help desk on Wednesdays at 8:00 until they change my TV schedule. No, I'm just messing. But I want to make sure that I answer your questions, that I can help you, never hurt you. Christine, I do have a book. I've got a book and a journal. I have a student loan book. It says Student Loan Debt No Problem, How to Successfully Secure a Mortgage with Student Loan Debt. And then I have a home buyer's journal, where you can journal your journey to home ownership, meaning you can journal everything from what you learned from getting your credit repaired, You can take notes on questions and answers that I've asked in this live. If you have questions, you can put questions in here for your real estate agent. You can have questions for your lender. This has budget worksheet, notes for credit, notes for while you're looking at houses. It has everything from by the time you close. You can go in the back. You can put important dates. Hey, July of 2026, I replaced the roof. December 2027, I replaced the hot water heater. This is the HOA's phone number. These are the utility companies in case something happened to us. In case something happened to you, this book is available. Both books are actually on my website. I'm going to put it in the chat. And it will be, if you're watching the replay, my book, the website for my book is going to be in the description. It's www.peopleslender.com. Not but www.peopleslender.com. You can go there and get both of my books. And in advance, thank you guys for your support. I'd much rather you go to my website and get the books, because if you go to Amazon, you'll get the books, but I won't know who purchased it, and then I won't be able to reach back out to you. Amazon collects that data. Seeing my girl. Hey, Miss Debbie. I hope you're feeling better. Hopefully you get back to work soon. And I appreciate you for sending your notes on the videos that we send you. I definitely appreciate your support. Look forward to working with you and your husband here soon. Hey, guys, let me reset the room. I thought I saw my guy, Mr. Clark. Mr. Clark, you out there in YouTube land? Maybe he had to jump. But if you have any questions pertaining to home ownership, do me a huge favor. Put them in the chat. I will answer those. Again, let me kind of reset the room. We discussed home buyers canceling sales contracts at a record pace of 58,000 in July, 56,000 in June, and the largest two areas in July that were canceled were Florida as well as San Antonio, Texas. I venture to say it could very possibly have been more that we may not have seen. Maybe it was new construction. All right. Mr. Clark said, I'm still here listening, sending over emails. Got you. So, for whatever reason they canceled. Again, go back to the beginning and watch this live. I went through a list of things that could have potentially canceled those contracts. Also, guys, I have a Facebook group that I would love to see your faces in and join. The link will be below to join my Facebook group. And I also have a newsletter that I produce and put out 3 times a week. The newsletter goes out on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. It is always something dealing with real estate. Sometimes I put in a sale about my book or a blurb about my book, but always information about real estate, mortgages, information pertaining to the lives that we're going live, that we've produced some videos. And if you guys have any specific topics that you would like to see or have me talk about, definitely drop them in the chat or drop them in the comment section. I've been recording, guys. I have been recording for the last couple of days. I've got some videos that I'm putting out that I think is going to be amazing information. I need you guys to tap in. I need you guys to watch and give me a thumbs up. Your feedback is always welcome, good, bad, or indifferent. What do you recommend the first steps to becoming a home buyer? Christine, you got some great questions. I appreciate it too. First steps, one of the first steps is to go to annualcreditreport.com and pull your credit report for free. You get a free credit report. Get yourself maybe some highlighters or some colored pencils or something, or pens or crayons, some way to mark it up, and take a look at your credit report. Like, I know we don't want to because we're afraid that's what's on there, but take a look at your credit report and see exactly what is on there. And then, hey, this belongs here. No, that doesn't belong there. I don't know what that is. Like, go through and get familiar with what is on your credit. From there, that's step 1A. Step 1B would be to reach out to a mortgage loan officer who can pull your credit and potentially give you a game plan on what you need to do to get in position to purchase a home. Now, the game plan could be that he or she, hopefully he, would give you a game plan that would lead you to home ownership. But then one of the game plans could potentially be, hey, in order to get from here to there, you're going to need some sort of credit repair. Being a resource, and I'm not saying automatically go to credit repair, but if it's above my pay grade, I'm going to send you there and you have an opportunity to figure out if that's what you want to invest in. Remember, I said invest in. Yes, it costs. Don't look at it as a bill. It's an investment, because whatever you pay for the credit repair, and I only send legitimate companies and legitimate people, it's probably costing you more because of what's on your credit and your score. Step 1A, pull your credit report from annualcreditreport.com. Step 1B is to reach out to a lender and get a game plan. Those would be my suggestions for a first-time home buyer. What scores do you need to get into a house or even approved in 2025? So for FHA, you can have no credit score, meaning I pull your credit. TransUnion, Equifax, Experience said not scorable, which means you don't have a credit score. That's fine. Like, we can figure out 3 non-traditional credit scores that we can utilize. 3 non-traditional trade lines that we can figure out and help you establish credit. Whether it's your Netflix bill that you've been paying on time for the last 2 years, your lease agreement that you've been in or paying on for your last 12 months, cell phone bills, car insurance, utilities, water, sewer, trash, gas, some sort of bills that you paid to establish 3 lines of credit. But if you do have a credit score, minimum credit score to get a 3.5% down payment is going to be 580 using FHA financing. Now, while it is a minimum credit score of 580, that does not automatically mean that you qualify. There are other factors that factor into it, but we can do as low as a 580 for FHA with 3.5% down. With conventional financing, you could get into it with a minimum credit score of 620, which is very, very hard. You have to have great assets, meaning money left over, money in the bank, a large down payment, typically outside of the 3-5%, or money left over afterwards. With VA funding, you can get into a home with 0% credit, with a 0 credit score as well as 0% down, but you have to be a veteran. And then you also, for USDA, you're looking at about a 640, 660 credit score. So all of those things are just starting points, right? You still have to have a low debt income ratio, or a debt income ratio that meets that guideline. And then how many reserves or assets or what kind of money you have also plays a part in it. I was able to get a couple pre-approved, combined. The middle score was a 585. However, they had a 401k. They were able to get approved after bringing their down payment, closing costs, and they had some money left over that they could get to. Now, do they have to bring that to the table in terms of the reserves? No, but it is available in liquid. So if you have a 401k or your company offers it and you're looking for a partner, to match your funds so you can potentially use it as your down payment money, I would contribute to it. Can't spend what you don't see. Did that answer your question, Mike? Mike and Jess, I'm not sure if it's Mike talking to me. I don't know if it's Jess talking to me. Or whoever's talking to me, let me know if I answered your question. Cool. Also, what other, Christine, I want to kind of go back to something too. In terms of, home buyers, listen, guys, I understand that you want to take advantage of any type of down payment assistance programs that you could potentially qualify or do qualify for. However, it's not always best to utilize those programs, or because of what you want to qualify for, or it doesn't necessarily mean that you qualify for the program. You may have too many assets. You may not qualify credit wise. And that's okay. That should not discourage you from purchasing a home, right? Yeah, I want to take advantage of what's available to me. But home ownership is the long-term vision. So with that being said, I understand that we're in the middle of inflation, and I understand that things are higher. I understand that it costs more to live. I know that people are losing jobs, but if we can figure out a way to save more money, then that's going to help you. Because most people, I've got a couple of clients that insist on trying to come to closing with no money out of pocket, and that could possibly happen. I'm not saying it won't, but you need to be prepared if something was to happen and the seller was no longer able to pay your closing costs, or you no longer was able to qualify for that down payment assistance. So you just want to make sure that, hey, I've got this to the side, I'm saving this money, but don't go in it saying, hey, I qualify for down payment assistance. I'm going to get the seller to pay all the closing costs, and I'm not bringing no money on to the table. That is a setup for failure. All right, cool, Mike. I appreciate it. What other questions do you guys have? We got about 15 minutes. I usually try to keep it to an hour. 14 minutes and 17 seconds to be exact. Do you recommend opening and having a high yield savings account? Yes, that is very, very smart. Opening up a high yielding savings account to help save your funds, that is helpful because you gain interest on it. But before you do that, I would suggest meeting with a lender and getting a game plan. I'm going to tell you why. Because yes, you're saving money and it's gaining some interest, but the interest that you're paying out on a credit card or personal loan may supersede that interest that you're gaining on your money because you're paying compound interest over time on that loan. So a high yielding savings account helps, but it just kind of all depends on what kind of debts you have and what kind of interest rates you have on that debt. My wife is a stay-at-home mom. Well, that hurt me when I try to buy a house. No way, man. She worked harder than all of us staying at home. Running a household is a full-time gig, time and a half gig, man. You tell Jess thank you for all she does. Tell her I said it, bro. Like, thank you for being a stay-at-home mom. You work harder than all of us. Because think about it, man, running the household allows for you to get out here and work. So yeah, no, it doesn't hurt you. Let me preface it though. It only hurts if you don't have money saved, or if you don't, if she has debt on her credit report and she doesn't have an income coming in, while on paper your income can cover hers and yours, having her on an application without an income but debt would hurt if she had high student loan debt or something like that. But her staying at home, just, it doesn't hurt you because she stays at home. I mean, she could have a job and her debt could hurt you, or you could hurt her with having debt and have a job. But I would always look at, in this case, I would have a conversation with both of you. I would look at your file, and if we needed her for credit and she doesn't have a lot of debt, then that would help. But you could go on the loan by yourself because you have the income, and we could add her to the debt. I mean, not to the debt. We could add her to the deed or title, depending on what state you're in, to help you. So hopefully that answers your question, man. But again, make sure you tell Jess I said thank you. I keep seeing commercials for IUL, Index Universal Life Insurance, saying you can borrow money when needed. What are your thoughts? I have a IUL. And yes, you can borrow money when you need it, but there has to be money there to borrow. So I am not a financial expert. I only go by what I have experienced. And yes, you can borrow against it, but it does, depending on how much money you put in there, it does take time to accrue money. Typically, the returns, they say, are anywhere from, I'm gonna say 8 to 11% a year. So it depends on how much money you invest into that fund. But hopefully that answers your question. You know what? I might have my insurance agent Val come on so you guys can ask her some questions at some point. Give me some feedback. Most people that follow me don't know where they are credit wise, or people that want to get in position credit wise. I am thinking of doing a seminar, a virtual seminar on, I'm not helping you prepare your credit. We're not writing form whatever letters to the credit agency, or we're not, sending deletion letters or demand letters or whatever that is. But we're going to physically look at your credit. We're going to go over things that need to be addressed on your credit, and I will give you a game plan on how to potentially establish credit or establish more credit. And I will do that via a Zoom webinar. You can ask me questions. Like, I'll be able to hear your questions. I'll see them in the chat, but we'll be able to talk through it. There's only so much that you're going to be able to say because you don't want everybody know your credit. But I'm also going to probably have a credit report up and just kind of give you things that you need to look at. I plan on doing that soon. I'll probably do it. I think I'm going to probably work on that sometime in September, or either September or October. But I'm gonna get a date. I'm gonna get a date. Be on the lookout for that information. So how you're gonna find that information? Obviously, I'm gonna put it on YouTube and constantly tell people about it. I'm gonna post it in the Facebook group, and I'll have it sent out in my newsletter. But my goal by this weekend is to know what date I'm going to do it in September, have the link prepared, and then have a link prepared, and then you can sign up for it. Now, I will tell you, and I'm going to be honest, there's going to potentially be a charge, right? What I'm thinking is pay what you want. If you think it was worth $1, I appreciate it. If you think it was worth $50, I appreciate it. But I just need to get with my team and set it up, and kind of go from there. I got you, Christine. Just make sure you are subscribed to my Facebook channel And make sure, not Facebook channel, just make sure you're subscribed in my Facebook group, a member of the Facebook group, or to the newsletter. After I finish this, my team will put links below. Make sure you sign up, follow me. If you subscribe, there's two things. You got to subscribe, and then you have to hit the notification button so you can see when I put out information. How do you stand a chance of even getting to see a home when they're gentrifying the neighborhoods you're interested in? I had to take a sip on that. So there's so many answers to that question that could be complex, right? First thing is identifying what the prices are in that area that you're interested in. And then two, you should get pre-approved to see if you qualify to live in that area. A good loan officer will give you options of saying, hey, maybe you want to add a cosigner to your deal to help you qualify for more. Maybe you need to pay down this debt to qualify for this area. RC, if they have open houses, they can't stop you from going to an open house. Open houses are free. So go in and take a look and see if it's something you're interested in. But the biggest thing is seeing what you qualify for. Gentrification of an area doesn't necessarily stop you from purchasing unless you can't afford it. Like, that's what stops you from having the ability to see or purchase a home. So what I would suggest is, hey, if you like to live in the Jeffersons, I'm just making up an area, in the Jefferson district, go get pre-approved, see how much it costs to buy a home in the Jefferson district. And then from there, get with a realtor that's going to show you a home in that area. 9 times out of 10, a real estate professional is not going to show you a home. They're not going to show you a home in anywhere if you don't have a pre-approval letter. Sometimes you run into agents who want you to get pre-approved with their specific lender. Just understand that you have the ability to get pre-approved with who you want. Their benefit, yeah. So like, I've got agents that ride or die for me, right? And know that I'm going to do a good job. But then sometimes, there are buyers who come to me and they want to work with me and utilize my services, and I, partner with them and their realtor. So that is, that's an option. But, open house, you can go see it. But biggest thing, if you want to see inside of a specific home and it's on the market, either go to an open house or get pre-approved to see if you can qualify for that house. Hopefully that answered your question. RC, what part of the country are you in, if you don't mind me asking? Would it be a one-on-one Zoom video, and where that'd be a fee? So typically on a one-on-one video, no, if you're looking to obtain a mortgage. But the video that I'm going to do with a group, and you look at it and you can take notes and ask questions, where you can talk to me and I, answer questions. I'll answer questions about specific things. You can private chat to me so that nobody knows that it's you, and then I can just answer it that way. That's going to take more time, and it's going to be more effort, and I'm going to put more into it to get you in position. But Christine, if you want to reach out to me, my contact information is below, and we can have a more in-depth conversation. Because I've helped people who've had identity theft, and they don't have to pay off the stuff that they think they have to. And sometimes they get to me late and they've already paid it. Sometimes they get to me early and I'm able to save them some money from paying those things off. And we're just there to help reestablish credit. Christine, I think you used to jump. I'm not mistaken. You used to jump on my lives a while back, and then I think you might have went away. If you're who I think you are. New Jeru's, okay. Yeah, those prices in Jersey are different. They're definitely different. Those payments are different too because of the higher taxes. Um, no problem, Christine. Got you. Um, so how long are pre-approvals good for? So pre-approvals are good for however long you're looking. But I'm gonna break that down a little bit more simpler, right? Typically 45 to 60 days, and then we're gonna get updated pay stubs and bank statements, right? Make sure that your assets are still there, make sure you're still making the same amount of money or more. If you have a new job, be able to calculate that income. Credit reports are only good for 120 days. So after 120 days, if you've been looking for 120 days, we're going to have to repull your credit to make sure your score is still the same. You haven't taken on any new debt. You haven't gotten any new collections or new judgments or anything like that. So technically, I say 45 to 60 days. And then to get reapproved all over would be me just getting updated pay stubs and bank statements. And then repulling a fresh credit report. You say, yes, it's me. Sorry, life was lifing for me. I'm back on track now. That's awesome. That's cool. And that's what happens. Hey, listen, guys, I've been doing this for a while and I understand. And it happens to me too, that life takes over and consumes us when we're trying to do something major, right? But staying on track and staying focused, or getting back on track and getting focused, helps us be able to move that needle forward. With that being said, just understand that at some point in this transaction, or some point when you're looking to purchase a home, something major is going to happen. And that's when you see your resilience and your toughness. Because think about it, without a test, you don't have a testimony. And you want to make sure that you're focused and you block out the noise. If you think you have people that are going to discourage you, as people call them, as haters, then don't tell anybody you're looking to purchase a home. You don't want anybody trying to discourage you. I've talked to people where they called about getting pre-approved, and then all of a sudden their parents told them it's not a good time to buy. The uncle living in their grandma's basement told them, hey, you shouldn't buy. I lost my home in 2008. Like, kind of block those things out. Or people, injecting their experience on you, whether good, bad, or indifferent, right? Your experience is your experience. So I understand you getting off track, but you made it back, right? So, well, guys, we are a little bit past the hour. I appreciate you guys who stayed till the end. Do me a huge favor. It costs nothing to give me a thumbs up. Give me a thumbs up so this can get pushed out into the YouTube algorithm. The link for my book I put in the chat. I will put it in here again. And if you're watching the replay, it will be in the description. So you can purchase my book and my journal. And be on the lookout for my, I hate calling it masterclass, but it's going to be a masterclass on how to get credit prepared, mortgage credit prepared. I can't talk this evening. Again, guys, thank you for watching. I'm Kevin Jefferson, the People's Lender. Have a great night.